Well, as we told you off the top of the show, after finishing runner-up last season, Hamilton, Ontario's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was named 2025 NBA MVP. And just as Shai makes sure his teammates are close by for every post-game interview, his teammates were on his mind as he accepted the award.
Okay, I should have wrote something down. I would like to start this whole, speech with just thanking my teammates. I can't say enough how much you guys mean to me, and not only as a basketball player, but as family. My dad for putting the ball in my hands. My mother. If any of you guys know my mother, she's crazy. And I told her the other day that I always thought she was insane until I had a child and I understood exactly what she was saying and exactly what she meant. And then the one and only Haley Summers. Thank you. You were the first person to show me what love really meant. What love really meant, what sacrifice really meant. And I can't wait to spend the rest of this journey called life with you. So thank you for everything. I wouldn't be the man I am, I wouldn't be the player I am, I wouldn't be the father I am without you, but thank you for that. So thank you, everybody.
Getting choked up in here. That was pretty awesome. What a guy. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP. Let's head over to Jevohn Shepherd, our NBA analyst, to chat about him. I know you're especially excited about this, buddy, because you're close with SGA. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I do have to bring up one thing, and that's the fact that Nikola Jokic had a heck of a year.
Yes.
I mean, statistically, maybe his best year ever. And yet SGA really outdistanced him in the final voting. Why do you think that is?
Well, one, you don't want to minimize what Jokic did, right? He had himself a heck of a season, a 30-point triple-double. But in an era where we quantify so much by the analytics and the metrics and so forth, there's one thing that really matters, and it's the winning number, right? And SGA's OKC team won 68 games, right? They were 18 games better than Nikola Jokic's Denver team. And I think that's where he really separated himself. And you also have to take into account he plays, right? He's one of the superstars in, again, an era where, we emphasize load management and guys are sitting out. SGA plays every night. He only missed about 6 games this entire season. But he did it on both ends of the floor, right? Scoring the basketball, led the league in scoring. But also when you look at his plus-minus, right? He was plus 12, led the NBA in plus-minus as well, which says to us that his team is 12 points better when he's on the floor. So everything he did translated to wins. And for me, that's what it's about, right? You play this game for chips and checks, and he's well on his way to a chip right now. But the wins, it spoke volumes.
I mentioned that you are close with SGA, you know his family well. What do you think this means to all of them right now?
Well, watching his acceptance speech, I was almost choked up.
Yeah.
I was trying to hold it together. But it means so much because, as family, you sacrifice. You are a part of the commitment. You're a part of the journey. And then for him, I remember this past summer, one of the first conversations we had when he came home was, he had just had his son in April. His son was born in April, Aries. And his first thing he said was, I don't want my son to go to school and his classmates tease him that his dad's a loser. Right? And to me, that took precedence. It spoke so much about him and his character because you're this big megastar, right? You are everything that basketball, is right now. And you're concerned about winning and how that impacts not just yourself, but your family and so forth. So it tells you a lot about who he is and how he's wired. And, I think this is for his family. His mom, Charmaine, father, Vaughn, brother, Tomasi, wife, Haley, they've been a part of this thing. And, he spoke to it as well. His unit is very small. It's not like a star of this magnitude. You expect to have a big entourage. And I always laugh in the summer because he comes back home, spends time in Hamilton, right? He's not in LA, he's not in Miami, in Hamilton. He goes to work out, and he has a a bunch of 5 friends, a group of 5 friends. These guys are all 5'5" up to his hip. and they're the ones rebounding for him and, going through drills with him with his trainers and so forth. So I think as a Canadian, we've got to be extremely proud right now. And our proud has got to be loud.
Yeah.
Right, because we haven't seen this since Steve Nash, and that's 20 years, 20 years ago. We don't know when we're going to see this again. So it's a big moment for Shai, his family, but our entire country.
It's amazing because you bring up Steve Nash. When Steve played, there were a handful of Canadians in the NBA. Now there are so many Canadians in the NBA. It's so exciting, and it's such a great time. And so it's SGA, Steve Nash. They are the Canadians who've won MVPs. Of course, everyone's going to have a debate. Who's the greatest Canadian ever? So let's weigh in on that just for fun. Again, we love both players. We're just having fun here. But overall, who do you think is the greatest Canadian ever?
Well, what are we, mid-May right now? It's still Steve Nash, right? He has 2 MVPs. Shai has 1. Now, if we revisit this conversation in about 3 weeks and Shai has an MVP and an NBA championship, that story's flipped upside down, right? SGA would then be the greatest Canadian to, play this game. But also, I think that bar is too low then. Like, at that point, you're now talking about him as one of the greatest to ever play the position, right? He's in that conversation because there's only been one of, he would be one of 4 players, Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, Bob Cousy, to have won an NBA championship and won an MVP in the same year as a point guard. So right away, and I know, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, my inbox is going to go crazy, but he catapults into the conversation of one of the best at that position, right? Unpopular opinion, but very few. That's rare air that he would be in.
Absolutely. It's just so exciting. I love the way he spoke from the heart. Didn't have a speech, got emotional. Just an awesome dude. Now we have another terrific game coming up on the network on Thursday night. The Western Conference Final moving to game number 2. OKC and Shai taking care of business in game 1. Javon, what are you expecting in game 2?
I'm going with the family. I'm going with Shai and OKC. I don't know if Minnesota can figure it out. They've got to figure out how to take care of the basketball and slow down OKC's pace.
Don't forget to watch the game, 8:30 Thursday, right here on TSN, 8:30 Eastern. And Javon's going to join us on this show to break it all down when it's all over.